Okay, so welcome to this Google Ads training specifically for therapists. So my name's Claire Jarrett and I'm with you today because I've been asked to put together a training specifically for those of you who are in the therapy field. This training will be specifically useful for you where you run a local business and where you want to offer your services to people within your local area. Now, that may be face to face, it could also be online. And what you actually offer people once they get to your site and once they call you, that's entirely up to you. But this training is based on my local business training. If your business is slightly different than a standard therapist business, then the training will just as easily be relevant for you. Any local business at all can use this training. Obviously, this training and the examples I'm going to be giving today are specifically based on therapist as per the request I've received. Okay, so to begin with, let's make sure that we know what Google Ads specifically are. Now, Google Ads, when you go to Google, whether google.co.uk, google.com, wherever you are in the world, and type in a search phrase, a keyword search phrase, some ads will appear at the top, and there's normally up to 4 at the top. You may also get some lower down. Google is quite often testing these. When I first started delivering Google Ads training back in 2008, there were, I think there was 3 at the top. I think I've then seen 2 at the top. I've seen 4 at the top. There's been some at the bottom. Google quite often plays around with the number of ads you can see. On a mobile phone, which is where most people will do their searching these days, specifically for a local business, the Google ads themselves normally take over the whole of the initial screen that people can see. So even if you've been optimizing your Google map, your Google My Business listing, or you've been working on SEO, search engine optimization, to try and get your website to appear organically, you still will definitely benefit from Google Ads because of the fact that they take over the whole of the mobile phone screen when people first perform the search. And you can see that here on the right, I've typed in the search phrase anxiety therapist Birmingham. And what Google does is it actually places it in bold, the words that it finds are matching. So you can see that here it's putting in bold the words therapy, therapists, etc. Now, years ago, it used to even put the word Birmingham in bold as well, and anxiety too. These days, it doesn't put as much in bold. However, Google still rewards those who get their advert as closely as possible matching what people are searching for. Now, this is going to be your ultimate, or your entire ultimate aim is going to be that you create ads that as closely as possible match what people have searched for. So if we had an ad here that said anxiety therapist Birmingham in the headline, instead of just Birmingham therapists or free initial consultation, you would be much more likely to appear at the top because Google rewards that. So for those of you who've never advertised on Google Ads before, if you were in the Birmingham area, you could come in and jump over these existing ads that we can see by having an ad that more closely matched what people are searching, anxiety therapist Birmingham, because there is a metric, a little known metric called quality score, which is where Google wants you to make sure your ads match what people are searching for. And that is your absolute aim with what we're doing. You need to guess the keyword search phrases that people might use when they're searching for you, and the ones that are most likely to result in really good, highly qualified leads. Now, remember, Google Ads do not affect your SEO. If you see any changes in your map listing or in your organic listing, if there's anything that you're doing with your SEO company, if you have one, nothing you do here with an ad impacts your map listing or your SEO ranking in any way at all. If anything happens, it's purely a coincidence, so please remember that. Now, you will pay for every single click you receive, and unfortunately this does mean that sometimes people can click twice, where they click forward, they click on the back button, and then they click on the ad again. Now, if they click on it 3 times, you will get refunded the third. Sometimes you will get refunded twice, but that's how you can sometimes see some very high click-through rates. So a click-through rate is a number of times your advert gets clicked versus how many times it's actually shown. So if your ad gets shown once, but it gets clicked twice, you will have a click-through rate of 200%. If your ad gets clicked once and it showed once, then your click-through rate will be 100%. If your ad shows 10 times but only gets clicked one of those times, that will be a click-through rate of 10%. So what is a good click-through rate? Around about 10%, 15%. So anywhere from the 10, 15, maybe up to 20% click-through rate is where you're going to be aiming for, because you're creating highly relevant Google ads. Okay, so that's what we're going to be after in this training. And in this training, the entire thing I'm going to be teaching you how to set up and what to do with your Google ads is how to create campaigns that get as many clicks as possible. Aim to get these really high clicks by picking really relevant keyword phrases. Now, as a therapist, you will get better results if you pick a specialism of some sort that you wish to advertise on. This doesn't mean that you can't have different specialisms that you advertise. So you could have pages on your site, one for anxiety, one for stress, one for anger management. You could have pages for all of these, but the point is the fact that if somebody types in anxiety therapist or anger management therapy or something like that, they are going to be a much better qualified lead than somebody that just types in therapist or therapist near me. So that is how to get the more relevant leads. That doesn't mean you don't and you cannot advertise just on the word therapist. However, the better leads will be if you advertise on a specialism. It is okay to advertise just on the word hypnotherapist. If you are a hypnotherapist, the whole purpose of all of this is you may wish to test it. Excuse me. So you'll want to test to make sure that you may want to test therapist, you may want to test hypnotherapist, you might want to test all of your specialisms and leave it running for a couple of weeks to see which does best. And you will then want to ask people when they call, where did they hear of you? You can also set up tracking to check where people have come from. But you'll then want to run these tests over a couple of weeks and turn off those that aren't doing well, and we'll be looking at that type of optimization later on as well. Now, you will pay more if you want to advertise on the general keywords such as therapist and hypnotherapist. That doesn't mean you'll pay more for every single click. It just means that those people are much more likely to shop around. So you'll end up paying maybe £50 a lead, whereas for an anxiety therapist lead, you might be able to get that lead for £15, £20 or similar. So just bear that in mind. However, you may certainly, as I've mentioned, want to test advertising on lots of the keyword phrases. And here's what we're going to cover in this training. We're going to be covering the structure that you're going to need in your account. So the account structure, the campaign structure, how the ad groups are structured with the keywords, etc. Going to show you how to research some keywords. This isn't too difficult. You're not going to pick too many of these. Just these are going to be based on your specialisms that you wish to offer plus the town name. Landing pages, that means the pages within your site that you're going to send people to, i.e. please don't send people to the home page. The actual setup for the campaign, all of the options that you're going to include when creating the campaign and where to watch out for, where Google will accidentally or deliberately, depending on your worldview, take money from you. So there's lots of settings you need to make sure you turn off and watch out for to make sure you don't let Google's automation run away with your cash. Then going to cover the account maintenance that you're going to need on a daily basis to begin with, and then weekly basis, and then eventually once the campaign's up and running successfully, once a month or so, it's going to be good enough because it is really easy to manage once you've got it up and running. Okay, so looking forward to jumping into the rest of the content with you. Hope you've enjoyed the intro. Now get ready for the next stage.